y'all, and welcome back to my channel. And welcome to another anti-haul, because we're picking up the pace now, y'all. I'm going through trend mood, and 99.99999% of the time, all I do to look through trend mood is I just go to look to see things that I'm gonna be anti-hauling. I honestly trust all y'all to link me to and to like tag me in things that I'm probably gonna be more interested in buying than the fare that I'm gonna be finding on that page. So basically I just go through and I'm like, okay, all right, I've got thoughts about that. Screenshot. And as we are picking up the pace, the tomfoolery is most definitely afoot. So, like always, we're just gonna talk about the stuff that I am not going to be buying for one reason or another. Some things I feel a little bit passionately about. Every time I do one of these and I'm all like, this one's not gonna be so intense. And then I end up just getting all kinds of sassy and upset and tearing every single item a complete new one. So obviously we'll just have to see how this goes. And we are gonna start strong right out of the gate of a product that I may have anti-hauled way back in the early days of my channel, but Monsieur Louboutin, whose shoes I absolutely adore, though will never own, a while ago was like, I'm gonna release lip glosses, I'm gonna release lipsticks, and I'm going to charge $90 for said lipsticks and lip glosses. Now y'all know how your girl feels about fashion houses coming out with cosmetics. We've got a plethora. We've got Yves Saint Laurent, we got Chanel, we got Tom Ford, we got Christian Louboutin, we got Gucci. I think Michael Kors line is still a thing. But all these different high-end fashion whatever companies that then decide they want to come on in and bring their super pricey 1%ness into the makeup atmosphere. And now mind you, as of filming this, when I went to screenshot that shiz, they're all sold out on the site. So apparently there is a demographic that I am not a part of that goes in on this shiz. But y'all, you know your girl is not adverse to the occasional splurgy splurge. You know I like some of my Natasha Denona, I like some of my bougie skincare, I love my Viseart mattes. And maybe it's because I am not a lip aficionado, but doesn't $90 seem just a wee bit steep? And I can tell you right now, it is not for the bomb diggity formula. It is not for the amazingness of the product or what it brings to the game, aside from the bougie Monsieur Louboutin fancy packaging. And as much of a packaging snob, slut, whatever you may be, that I am, I don't have it in me to say that bougie packaging justifies $90, and on top of that is makeup. All right, I understand packaging, presentation is important, but when the majority of the reason you're selling something for how much money is the packaging, when it's supposed to be a consumable product, I just don't see the whatevers. I mean, that is some pricey fanciness. Also, as I feel like I always say, if it looks like I'm sweating profusely, it is because I am. It takes a lot of layers to look this whatever. But I'm sorry, $90 for a lip product, that thing better apply itself, that thing better turn the clock back on any damage I've done to my lips. It needs to drive me somewhere. It needs to buy me dinner, call me beautiful, and change my life. I don't think even if I had a lot of money, disposable income to just be burning on whatever the frig I want, I don't think I would be burning it on $90 lip products from Christian Louboutin. Okay, now that we've got that super sassy opinionated one out of the way, here's one that I'm just kind of like, you know, it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, That exists. I'm not gonna buy it. I honestly thought it was a new BH Cosmetics collection. And that is the BePerfect Carnival 3 collection. You know, I mean, I feel like I could have, you know, I don't feel bad about mistaking it for BH Cosmetics. I don't think I've ever heard about this brand. It's a whole kind of shebang bang. You've got the eyeshadows. I think they've got highlighters. They got a bunch of other things. I initially anti-hauled it because I thought it was a BH Cosmetics thing, and I was like, that's really something from BH Cosmetics that I'm not really vibing with. Now those cute little ice cream whatever palettes that like 12 of you tagged me, and I'm like, those are cute. And so this isn't anything that I'm feeling any sort of like whatever way about. It's just another big giant summer collection that was probably meant for festival season. And now that festival season isn't happening, we gotta push it out anyway because we spent the money to produce and market and make this thing. Because essentially 2020, any sort of whatever kind of gathering has been canceled, so all those cute little collections that were supposed to proc on said festival season, we're just releasing them as a summer release now rather than it actually being marketed for any particular reason. And honestly, that's the majority of a lot of makeup. There is no particular reason for this stuff to exist. It just does. We can't push back production anymore, so we gotta just get this stuff out here and hope that we don't face a loss. Then we always have to include sort of a something that I want that had I lots of disposable income, perchance I might purchase this, but for now, my collection, my money, all that sort of thing, we ain't gonna buy. And those are those like Jouer blush palettes. They've got like 3 blushes and a highlighter, and looking at those highlighters, I'm like, I bet those are really nice. But we all know 2020 and going into 2021, Soraya is living the low-buy life. We are living the life of more practicality and realization. And that realization is that I don't use face palettes nearly as much as I should. I'm very attracted to them. They're all nice and cute and curated. I have the best of intentions when it comes to them, but in reality, they're just not as viable for me as other things would be. And as pretty as these look, they're probably limited edition. We know I'm trying not to be about that life either. I probably have the shades. I just filmed my blush collection video, and your girl got a lot of blush. So, for a couple different reasons, nothing that I'm hating on, nothing that makes me angry or feel any sort of way. I just look at it and I'm like, yeah, Soraya back in the day would have dropped the money on both of those and never used them. So we're cutting out the middleman, we're cutting out the buying part and just skipping forward to the realization that I wouldn't use it as much as I should. So we're not buying it. Okay, we're gonna talk about another thing that's like, I really don't need this, but I love the cute aesthetic. Just this is a packaging thing and a theme that just went really well. This is by the Crayon case, which is I think that company that did like the Crayon palette. I could be completely I have no idea. Some indie brands I know absolutely nothing about. I know there is just a huge amount of different Did y'all hear that? That was some big old thunder. But there are a whole bunch of just 50 billion thousand different makeup companies that we don't even know about until Trend Mood makes a deal with them. And it's like, oh look, Spotlight, now I'm featuring them on my brand that mainly focuses on Sephora and Ulta mainstream makeup. And those are their blush binders. Once again, these appeal to the part of me that's like, oh, maybe I could use blush palettes, and these are just so nice looking. You know, there are certain things that you just vibe with that make you feel a certain way inside. And these definitely have a part of me that I'm like, those are just so blinking cute. Kind of reminiscent of the Tarte Holiday Blush whateverness from 1, maybe 2 years ago. This is cute, and it's like these little school binders, and the aesthetic, and bright colors, and the blushes look all kinds of pretty, even though I know I have no money to be spending on blush palettes that I'm not going to use, that are going to sit there in my face palette drawer and maybe potentially eventually get decluttered. I mean, they look so cute. Y'all know your girl is on the indie makeup train. That's the train that I'm riding on right now. I'm not very sussed with the majority of mainstream brands. Basically, I ain't buying from Too Faced, Urban Decay, Tarte, Lorac, Smashbox, you know, a whole bunch of those Sephora, Ulta carried brands, and we're skewing a bit more indie. So as much as I would like to try more indie makeup and find other indie formulas that I'm absolutely in love with, I don't think I need to do that in the form of these blush palettes. But if it's something y'all have tried and you think is absolutely amazing and the brand is one you think I should invest in at some point, I've got some indie things already that I know for some of my next declutters, some mainstream stuff is gonna be like going by the wayside. So, you know, maybe I can at some point replace mainstream face palettes with indie ones, but right now is not the time, at least not these ones. The stars are not in position for this purchase. Then one that I'm just kind of like, oh, okay, all right. Patrick Starr, a nice, fairly unproblematic, big name YouTuber here on this ever so wonderful platform, has come out with his own beauty brand, One Size Beauty. I think that's great. That's cute. Beauty is all for absolutely everybody. He is definitely an advocate for inclusivity within the community and the market. And he came out with makeup remover wipes, which I'm absolutely not interested at all. Y'all know your girl is trying to steer away from those because as much of a big giant old carbon footprint, or just my life, is it carbon? The footprint I have showcasing all the bad stuff I've done to the environment is probably fairly big right now, so I'm trying to pull away from using the makeup remover wipes. Also, they're kind of more pricey. Makeup remover wipes, I feel, are that thing where it's like, okay, you need it to get the job done, but I don't need to spend lots of money on it, so that's just kind of a whatever. He does have this cute little, like, it's in an aerosol can, but it's like a makeup remover spray. That, I must admit, I am kind of slightly intrigued by because, like I said, I'm trying to get into ways of removing my makeup that aren't wipes, something that is more environmentally friendly. And that kind of looked kind of interesting. It's not something that I'm gonna go in and be like, yeah, I'm gonna buy it, I need it. I'm gonna wait and see what people say about it. That is one thing I have learned is don't buy things, well, sometimes for products that I don't necessarily need or want for review or video purposes. I've become a lot better at waiting for reviews that will then influence my decision to purchase or not purchase said item. And this is definitely something that I'm like, I want to wait and see what people have to say about it because I ain't spending however much money on a spray aerosol makeup remover thing and have it not work. This next one pains me. I want this. I really, really want this. But I know if I were to buy it, aside from the fact that I shouldn't be buying single highlighters or compact things, I'm trying to be better about that this year, I know that I wouldn't use it. And that's because it is a cream, but the Rituel de Fille Green Highlighter. You know your girl loves living the extra life. I enjoy looking like an alien. I enjoy looking like a creature that is ethereal, otherworldly, and vaguely threatening. And what would make you look more ethereal and vaguely threatening than this luminous gold-based green highlighter? I mean, looking at the pictures of this shiz, and then you have Teresa is Dead saying it's good. There were so many things that made me want to buy this shiz. But y'all know your girl is not a cream product user unless you got Natasha Denona on my face today. But I don't want to bring more creams into my collection that I know I'm not going to use. Every time I buy them, I am filled with a sense of dread that they're gonna dry up and go bad before I have invested my money's worth into using them. And so as beautiful, as glorious, as ethereal and otherworldly and vaguely threatening this is, I just have to say no to it. I've got a lot of green highlighters that I love. I honestly don't need to be adding any more to the mix anyway. But y'all, that shiz looks all kinds of pretty. And if it had been a powder, Jesus take the wheel. I'm not sure where we would be at this point. Another one that I'm not interested in at all, mostly because the company in and of a whole, y'all know your girl loves a good, solid aesthetic. And I understand that not all aesthetics are for everybody. My aesthetic is not for everybody. But when it comes to said aesthetic, a company that started off and you're like, oh yeah, that's cute, I like that, that's funny, that's cheeky. And now they just won't let it die. That is the only thing their company is based on, and that is Glamlight. And they've come out with a bluey, pinky, purpley themed donut palette. I hate palettes that are just like all kinds of, I don't know. It's all like the eyeshadow format. Gives me all sorts of agita. Glamlight is notorious for having ginormous, huge, bulky packaging. The older I've gotten, the more I've come in my makeup journey, the more I've realized that I'm not a fan of big, giant, huge, chunky, glunky, whatever packaging that gives me a headache when I try to store it. It's just not my thing anymore. Y'all know the Too Faced puppy Clover Glover highlighter thing, right? I bought it because it's cute and I have zero self-control, and at this point, we have decluttered it because the headache is just not worth it. And so most Glamlight products for me turn into the headache just isn't worth it, aside from the fact that although this color story is all like, whatever, I have blues, I have pinks, I have purples. There are other companies that if they were to come out with a color story like this in a not donut palette, I would probably be more inclined to purchase, but I'm not interested in trying a new eyeshadow formula in a donut palette. Then we might as well go into the food theme. Girl loves food. I like to eat. The majority of me likes to eat really bad things, but we're doing a lot better because we have the diabetes, and so healthier life choices are a must. I must admit, food is not something that's kind of the same reason why Glamlight isn't really my thing. I'm just like, okay, all right, you're basing makeup off of food. It can be cute, it can be whatever. I've been very tempted by the BH Cosmetics Avocado Toast palette. That palette is taking inspiration color story wise, whereas these brands, which is Sugary Cosmetics Movie Night Collection, which is basically just one big movie theater headache collection. It's got like popcorn, it's got like makeup sponges in this cute little Puffs candy box. Maybe it's because I'm old, maybe I'm not young and hip and nifty and cool enough to understand the nuances of food themed makeup, but I get to a point where I'm just like, okay, all right, skip the whatever presentation, just give me good solid makeup with nice non-clunky over-the-top themes. Like, yeah, I want it to make me smile, but I don't want it to give me an aneurysm either. And I had like the one drink thing and the straws sticking out, just imagining how this packaging is opening and how you would open it and hold it to use it is just a whole bunch of no. I ain't got the time, I ain't got the patience. I know absolutely nothing about this company, and if I'm not gonna be buying food themed whatever from Glamlight that apparently has, I think, a relatively good reputation and quality. I definitely ain't gonna be buying it from a company I never diddly dang heard from before. I feel like it's not an anti-haul if we don't have some form of ColourPop release. They were doing good for a while there. I'm pretty stinking sick of them restocking the Sailor Moon collection. That's a joke. At this point, I'm probably gonna anti-haul that because I'm sick and tired of trying to I just want the blushes. That's another thing. They did come out with this Arizona, I thought Arizona, but it's like a cactus collection. It's 100% vegan. That's amazing. I was slightly tempted by those blushes because they were these really nice, soft, neutrally pretty shades, but I think they're gonna be in a big old ginormous packaging like those new Soul body highlighters. And the palette's okay. You know, it's like some dusty pinks, some dusty rose. You know, we've got like a nice cactusy green shade all up in there. I can't remember who it was, but I saw on Twitter someone took that ColourPop palette and superimposed it against another ColourPop palette, and they were the same thing. The only difference was the aesthetic that they were trying to sell, which has become a ColourPop norm at this point. I mean, ColourPop they love nothing more. I remember when they would release their one palette at a time and people would lose their absolute shiznit over it, and now they can't barely release nothing unless it's got 20,000 other pieces in it. They just keep releasing these huge collections. You got the eyeshadow palette, you got the blush, you got the highlighters, you got, depending on the collection, you've got the skincare portion, you've got the lip products, you've got, it's just always a whole bunch of stuff. And then if you look and dig even deeper, it's not even new stuff, it's just old shades. They're like, oh look, we've brought together the 3 most cactus themed lippy sticks of ours and put them in a cute little cactus themed box. It's limited edition, it's not new, but we've curated the cactus aesthetic for you. Now don't get me wrong, I am not coming down hard on the cactus aesthetic. I saw this and I was like, oh, these colors remind me of one of my good friends, Bethany. I could see her rocking the shiz out of this, and funnily enough, she lives in Arizona. So clearly, there's an aesthetic that this is aiming towards that, like always, I'm not a part of. But I am just a little bit, ColourPop has definitely, we're past the whole not releasing anything, and we've just gone headlong into just re-releasing everything. Okay. Y'all would have seen on Snapchat. This dropped, and for a moment I had y'all know, for all of you who know me, you know that when I saw this, I would have had to have a moment, which was then followed like but we did have the positive pullback moment first. Huda Beauty, a brand that I own some things. I love some things from, but they aren't a company overall that I'm like, everything they release I need. Typically, I'm good. And they decided they were going to release what I thought for a moment was like a highlighter line. I was like, oh boy, a company releasing a whole shiz ton of single highlighters. But no, it's one highlighter that is a collectible highlighter that's apparently like this big, and it's got like a geometric rose like thing, whatever. Like, this has reached Chanel Lancome levels of lavishness in which we're releasing giant, super limited edition collectible highlighters that the main marketing is, oh, look at the laser etching we have of a rose on it. I mean, at least it's not a dollar store fabric rose with a little bit of effervescent fairy fart fitted on it. At least it's not that. We have something to be grateful for. But I mean, my discussion, my statement on Snapchat was I'm intrigued and appalled at the same time, because I'm just, why? Why are you giving us this big, giant fancy structural, I'm just like, why? There is no reason, there is no sense, there is no rhyme. We're just going around releasing bougie laser cut rose highlighters for the heck of it. And I'm not buying it. Back in the day, I would have been tripping over myself to buy this shiz, but big. And I know that if I were to cave, which I'm not gonna, this I guarantee you, I will bet money that I don't have on the fact that this will not show up in an anti-hauled it but bought it, partly because I resent it slightly. But where Soraya of yesteryear have gone in and purchased this big ginormous whatever of a thing, it would have probably ended up going the same way of my Jeffree Star highlighters, which I held on to because your girl paid some good money for that shiz, but I rarely used because they were giant, clunky, gnarly, just not fun to store. Your girl is very anal. Your girl is very particular when it comes to the storing of my makeup collection. I have learned that about myself, and as such, we're not buying any big old ginormous highlighters, no matter how pretty, potentially whatever they might be. It's also, because it's big, it's also a lot of money. And so that's just one thing that I know probably, I think I had 3 thus far filming this of y'all tagging in this, and they were like, look, highlighter. And I was like, yeah, but no. I ain't about living that particular life, and I'm not into buying makeup. What was it? MAC did that, like, it was a highlighter size of an eyeshadow that was super expensive. They're like super crazy exclusive, only 12 of them made, and they've been blessed by a baby sea turtle. I don't get into buying makeup just for that shiz to be all like, ooh, look at this fancy $80 highlighter I have that I never touch, but it's super exclusive and limited edition, so it sits here reminding me of the money I wasted on it. I'm not doing it. I'm just not doing it. All right, there we have the conclusion of that anti-haul, the way this always goes. Oh, I'm not gonna get to whatever, and I definitely got very whatever. But as the consumer aware Soraya is, I've just reached a point where I don't give a flying wahonky about these mainstream brands pushing all their tomfoolery on us, thinking we're stupid, thinking we're just gonna let it fly. I am just not here for it, and I am not keeping my mouth closed. I'm gonna roast the shiz out of absolutely everything, even if I want it. Just a random want. If any of y'all have tried P. Louise eyeshadows, that new one that they're coming out with looks beyond gorgeous. So let me know down below, because I would love to try that out. But as for everything else, it's one big giant hard pass. Obviously, this sort of shiz is subjective. If you've tried these things or you plan on buying them, they're your absolute favorite. That is amazing. You keep doing you, boo-boo. Let us know down below in the comments. Enlighten us with your experience. And let me know something that y'all are anti-hauling for one particular reason or another. But thank you guys so much for watching. I love you, and as always, keep it real. Mwah!